Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024 Board of Commissioners evening business meeting. Thank you for being with us here tonight. Clerk Moss, could you do us the honors?
Certainly, Chair Harrington. The Washington County Board of Commissioners, also meeting as the Board of Directors for Clean Water Services in all regular county service districts, is now meeting this regular session, April 23rd, 2024. Commissioner Treese?
Here.
Commissioner Willie?
Here.
Commissioner Rogers?
Here.
Vice Chair Fye?
Present.
Chair Harrington?
Here. All righty. Just want to highlight for everyone that for item E1, we have a presentation that was included in the packet update. So just in case you need to catch up with that before we get rocking and rolling on our agenda. The next item is public communication. This is an opportunity for members of our community to come and share their thoughts with us on any topic they'd like for up to 2 minutes an individual. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in the room. Would anyone in the auditorium wish to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes on any county-related topic? I'll give you just a moment. Raise your hand. Start coming forward. Not seen in the room. We did have 2 online that registered. So the first one is going to be Soren Garber. Soren, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Great. Hello, Board of Commissioners. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you. I wanted to talk about a request for Section 8 housing assistance to be on the waiting list. I'm a volunteer for the Portland Refugee Support Group, and I've been working with an Afghan family of 9 who live on just off Baseline and 185th. They applied for Section 8 rental assistance in January 2023. On December 22nd, 2023, they were finally put on the waiting list and told because of their need that they have a priority. We have yet to have a case worker assigned to us. I wanted to speak to you tonight because for some reason I'm on your address, the Housing Bureau's address for the newsletter, and they speak about the progress they've been making, and system-wide and in aggregate, it seems like a lot of progress has been made, but I wanted to speak to you as a user of that system. So this family doesn't speak English very well. I've been helping them with their applications, and we have not spoken to anybody. So we applied to be on the waiting list. Their situation has changed drastically. Their household income's gone down 55%. They lost some assistance from the Islamic Society and the Portland Refugee Support Group and IRCO, and their rent went up. They're a family of 9. And whenever I contact the Housing Bureau, you have to go through the Housing Voucher Information website, and they assign it to somebody. And I just wanted to update our application and find out what our status is. And I was given a name. After 6 weeks, I had to call back and go through that website again. After 6 weeks, I've got a person's name, and they said, well, since I'm not the applicant, I can't ask for this assistance. So I had the applicant do so through an email and a voicemail and did not hear back for 4 weeks. So then called that person again, and he said that, well, I can't speak to you. You have to have the applicant speak to me. And the applicant did so again. I told him that we've been waiting for you. And then he finally wrote back and said that we cannot speak to you and give you any information until your time on the waiting list, until you're assigned a case study worker. So this is not a very user-friendly system. For this family, I've been taking care of the medical bills. I've been working with the Citizens and Immigration Service, all sorts of social welfare systems. And I find that Washington County's user interface is probably the worst. So congratulations on the progress you've been making system-wide. But as a user, I have to tell you that you can learn a lot from some other agencies. We would like, it's been 18 months. Oh, by the way, this person is a hero. He was an interpreter for the U.S. government, for the U.S. Army. He was airlifted with his family to Walter Reed Hospital after being injured severely in a suicide bomb. He recovered for 4 months. He had to recover for 4 months. So for a variety of reasons, he's an exemplary person, applicant, who is desperate in need, and we're not getting information from Washington County. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Robert Zahari. Dwalski. I apologize if I did. Can you hear us? You guys hear? Can you unmute Bob? There you go.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Great, thank you. Washington County Commissioners and Chair Harrington. Bob Zarowski, a quick bio for those who don't know me. 43-year resident of Washington County, ESPD Advisory County member for 16 years, University professor, School of Business, and international business consultant and organization development strategic planning for Fortune 100 companies and the U.S. government. What brings me here tonight is the process the county is using to correct the process of spending versus income. I'm not very happy with the direction the board is taking on budgeting. For now, 2 years, you've been asking for across the board cuts of specific percentages. I'm here to tell you that approach does not work. Why? Many municipalities that I've worked with in the past just love to get federal and state grants for important political issues and important programs. But what happens is when the funding is reduced or goes away, municipalities are required or funding the entire programs themselves. Many times that has happened in Washington County, and no one has stepped up to take the hit for reducing or canceling a program. As I see it, the conundrum that we are with programs that are now we have to fund and we don't have the resources. But that's the past. Let's focus on the future. As an organization of any type is a living organism with many systems that interact with each other. Any OD trained person will tell you it's just like the human body. The heart, lungs, and brain are all connected. Any organization of any type. Following that thought, if you were told that you had cancer and the doctor said, let's just take 4, 7, or 10% out of all your organs, what would you think? That's what you're doing now to Washington County and in the current budgeting process. It does not work. The result is decreased productivity, demotivation. Good employees seek jobs elsewhere, which is what's happening. And like critical fields like the criminal justice system is the heart and lungs of our county. In closing, I'd urge the board to take control, set priorities, although with targeted cuts that you decide where the priorities are, not make mindless cuts that destroy the county I love. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your testimony this evening. I would like to make sure that you feel invited to our Budget Committee meeting next Monday evening, April 29th. You can find the specific Zoom information or join us here in the Public Services Building Auditorium. I believe that meeting starts at 6 p.m. Thank you, Commissioner Willie. And there you will find that our county administrative officer, who also serves as our budget officer, did ask all the departments to consider different scenarios as a way to better inform her about how she can deliver what she is required to do as our budget officer and deliver a balanced proposed budget for our consideration. So I invite you and all members of our community to join us at this first Budget Committee meeting where Ms. Angie will be presenting her proposed budget. And then we have multiple days of budget committees that follow that for the Washington County and Service District for Lighting #1 budget, also for the various special district budgets. Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District and Urban Road Maintenance District are a combined budget committee meeting. And then why can't I remember the other two that are in the mix as well? So all of our information is available on the Washington County website, washingtoncountyor.gov. Thank you.
All right. Would any other members online via Zoom wish to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any additional hands, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And we always welcome community engagement and public comment in our meeting, so thank you for the two gentlemen who spoke with us this evening. Next, we're moving on to tonight's consent agenda, which consists of 9 different items. 2 items from Facilities, Fleet, and Parks, 1 item from Health and Human Services, 1 item from IT, 2 items from the Sheriff's Office, and 3 items from Land Use and Transportation. What are the wishes of the Commission regarding tonight's consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of adopting tonight's consent agenda, thank you for raising your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. And tonight we have 3 different proclamations. And the first one is to proclaim next month, can you believe, month of May already, as Building Safety Month here in Washington County. So I would like to have our great staff come up and introduce themselves and take us through this proclamation.
Good evening, Chair Harrington and members of the Board of Commissioners. My name is Erin Wardell, and I'm the Planning and Development Services Division Manager. And with me is Derek Moon, Washington County's building official, who will be reading us this proclamation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Whereas the county is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic value of our homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our community, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster. And whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officers, architects, engineers, builders, tradespersons, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of our buildings. And whereas Building Safety Month reminds public about the crucial role served by the community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas Mission Impossible, the theme of Building Safety Month 2024, encourages all to raise awareness that building safety starts at home, with building safety professionals and individuals to prepare and advocate for our community and to solve challenges together. Building Safety Month 2024 encourages appropriate steps everyone can take to ensure the safety of our built environment and recognizes that the implementation of safety codes by local and state agencies saves lives, protects homes and businesses. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, we are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety and economic investment at home and in our community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this 23rd day of April 2024, the Washington County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2024 as Building Safety Month. In Washington County, and we call upon all community members, businesses, and civic organizations to take steps to ensure the places where we live, learn, work, and play are safe and sustainable, and to recognize that the lives have been saved due to the implementation of safety codes by local and state agencies. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you very much for the work that you and your colleagues do each and every day with inspections, whether it's a new building or a remodel, an addition on a home, or the demolition of a old building that's way behind the times with redevelopment of an area, what have you, and also for the contributions that you and others in the department make to evaluate applications for permits, but also to contribute to the state building codes so that our community has the benefit of further advancements, especially as building technology changes over the years and decades as well. So Commissioners, any other comments or thoughts? What are your wishes with regard to tonight's proclamation?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt tonight's proclamation as Building Safety Month here in Washington County. Let's go with Mission Impossible. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you very much. And next, May is a very popular month for proclamations. So we also have a proposal to proclaim May 2024 as Bicycle Safety Month in Washington County. So, Ms. Wardell.
We do a lot of different things within the Department of Land Use and Transportation, so we're going to pivot from building safety to bicycle safety. With me is Yamhill Valentine, our Principal Transportation Planner, who will read this proclamation.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Honored to be with you this evening to provide the proclamation of Bicycle Safety Month for May 2024. Whereas the bicycle is a healthy, convenient, and environmentally friendly form of transportation and an excellent tool for recreation and enjoyment of Washington County's scenic beauty. And whereas throughout the month of May, the Washington County community and its visitors will experience bicycling through educational programs, races, commuting events, or by simply going for a ride. And whereas Washington County Washington County street, road, and trail system attracts bicyclists each year, providing economic health, transportation, tourism, and scenic benefits. And whereas creating a bicycling-friendly community has been shown to improve community members' health, well-being, and quality of life, improve traffic safety, support student learning outcomes, and reduce pollution, congestion, and wear and tear on our streets and roads. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, along with local organizations and agencies, will be promoting bicycling during the month of May 2024. These groups will also promote greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety education to reduce collisions, injuries, and fatalities and improve health and safety for everyone on the road. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this 23rd day of April 2024, the Washington County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2024 as Bicycle Safety Month in Washington County, and we call upon all community members, businesses, and civic organizations to join Washington County in this observance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any thoughts, Commissioners?
Thank you for the work that you do to ensure that our cyclists are safe, from little people to bigger people and everyone in between. It really, when we look at improvements, when we look at our roads, our transportation system, you are always reminding me and others to make sure that we're including cyclists and their safety in all of our plans. So thank you for that, and thank you for this proclamation.
Anything else, Commissioners? Motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this proclamation, month of May 2024 as Bicycle Safety Month. Safety theme here, isn't there? All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. And now we're on to another type of proclamation, and this is a heritage proclamation for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I would like to invite Dora Perry and other team members up to take us through this proclamation. We also have some other chairs over here to the side. Sorry we didn't get those set up sooner. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair Harrington, Vice Chair Fye, and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Dora Perry. I am the Interim Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer. I am pleased to offer a few introductory remarks on the National Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander Heritage Month before I turn it over to our wonderful staff members to read the proclamation. Washington County Cultural Heritage Celebrations and Resources pages are an important starting point for our collective organization and engagement and learning about equity, diversity, and inclusion. These cultural celebrations offer an opportunity to enter into a relationship with staff and community members who identify as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and/or Pacific Islanders to build trust, broaden our horizon, and deepen our understanding of these diverse and growing communities in Washington County. No culture is monolithic. All cultures, ethnicities, and nationalities encompass a range of diverse life experiences and opinions. There are over 45 countries and far more ethnicities included within the Asian American, Native American, and Pacific Islander communities. Consequently, the celebrations and resources pages may not present a comprehensive picture of the nuances or full range of opinion within any culture or subculture. However, we do know the Heritage Month committees are thoughtful about the learning opportunities they share with our Washington County community. We encourage people who may be curious about what is or is not presented, or the policies implications of what is shared this month, to reach out to us at OEICE, Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement, or open a dialogue with colleagues and/or planning communities. I would like to thank the 11 staff volunteers coordinated by our Ika Falstrom of OEIC. They have been meeting for 6 weeks to plan and organize exciting opportunities to support our learning for this month's celebration. The members of AANHIP Heritage Month Committee support this effort in addition to their official work. And for that, we are very appreciative of their time and energy. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Ethel Galleries. Did I pronounce that right? Ethel is a Washington County Deputy Chief Financial Officer. And Tiana Wen. Tiana is Washington County Abuse Investigator in the Health and Human Services. Thank you.
Whereas the Washington County Board of Commissioners takes pride in recognizing May 2024 as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, honoring and celebrating the many significant contributions of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Island people who have enriched the history of our nation and of Washington County, and who are instrumental in its ongoing and future successes. And
whereas the official designation of May as PI Heritage Month was signed into law in 1992 and celebrates all Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders known as the AANHPI community, whose variety of contributions have built our culture and society. And
whereas we celebrate all of those who are included within the AANHPI community, which is made up of culturally and linguistically diverse peoples, representing populations from many countries and islands, and
whereas the theme for this year's observance is Advancing Leaders Through Innovation, which pays homage to the visionaries and trailblazers who have shaped our AANHPI history and continue to influence our collective future. And
whereas we recognize and remain committed to the belief that opportunity is a set of circumstances that make it possible to do something, and that opportunity can be built. It can be accessed, it can be achieved, or it can be given. And
whereas we recognize the innumerable contributions, vibrant cultures, and rich heritage of the AANHIPA community, and
whereas we acknowledge, appreciate, and continue to seek the contributions and leadership of many Asian Americans, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders who have played a significant role in our history and the community fabric of Washington County in the fields of science, education, agriculture, government, commerce, the arts, and many more.
now therefore be it resolved that on this 23rd day of April 2024, the Washington County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2024 as Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, encouraging all residents of Washington County to share in this special tribute by learning about and celebrating the generations of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders and Native Hawaiians who continue to enrich our nation and our local community.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, thoughts? Comments? Well, I really appreciate, I remember back when I moved to Oregon in 1990 and worked for my first private firm here, and they had a Heritage Month for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander community members. And it was my first experience and my first introduction as I had moved to the West Coast for the first time, having been raised in the eastern half of the United States, both in the North and the South. So I can really speak to how useful it is to have Heritage Months proclaimed and sharing and learning opportunities for community members. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for volunteering your time over these last 6 weeks on the committee, and I look forward to learning more, including through the various spotlights that I know that our Horizons employee resource page will bring to us as well. So thank you. And with that, commissioners, do we have a motion or?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this evening's proclamation for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Thank you very much. All righty. Next, we're going to move on to presentations. And I know we have Matt Craigie, and is Ashley here with us? There she is, Ashley Horn here as well, to highlight an important aspect of how equity is embedded in the kind of programmatic work that is done across departments here in Washington County. So please take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Harrington and board. My name is Ashley Horn, and I have the honor of serving as the Equity Policy Manager with the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement. I am here today to present to you our quarterly report on behalf of the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement. As was shared in the county's recent 3-year equity report, there is a lot of amazing equity work to be proud of here. The Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement has worked to lay the foundation for equity, diversity, and inclusion work, and we work in collaboration with departments to advance equity across the organization. Together, we are one Washington County. We appreciate that our quarterly reports are an opportunity to recognize and highlight the great equity work that departments are leading. You will be hearing more about this in today's quarterly report as well as in future reports. Today we will hear from Matt Craigie, Washington County's Economic Development Manager, about all of the great equity work he and his team have been leading. OEACE has worked to advance supplier diversity goals of the equity resolution, and we partner with the economic development team in this work. And with that, I am passing the mic to our very capable and inspiring Matt Craigie.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you, Ashley. Good evening, Chair Harrington, Vice Chair Fye, and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you all this evening. I'm excited to share a brief summary of what the Economic Development team has been up to. There's a lot that we tried to pack into 5 slides, and I'm not going to be able to touch on all of it. So please do ask questions. I know you've got your questions, so ask some questions afterwards, and I'd be happy to fill in some of the details. As a starting point and for some context, I wanted to anchor this summary and where the program started. I joined the county in spring of 2021. That feels like a really long time ago, and I think you'll remember that spring. It was right in the middle of the pandemic. This was actually before the Delta variant had come through. I was so excited to get this job here at the county, and it was all remote. I can't remember the first time. I think it was months later that I got to meet all of you in person. This is also before the American Rescue Plan Act was passed, the substantial federal bill that has been funding a lot of the work that we've been doing. At that time, your board's direction was to coordinate economic development activities countywide with a focus on unincorporated areas, small cities, and with strong emphasis on equity. So we've taken those directions to heart, and I hope that in this presentation, you see your vision and imprint on how Washington County is making a difference in promoting equitable economic development for all Washington County community members. I want to start with this slide about how we work. A county economic development program is, given the scale and the scope of the county organization, the positionality, sorry for the jargon, of the county between local governments, regional governments, and the state, set us up to work at a systems level, to convene, to bring stakeholders together, and to ensure that the ecosystem that fosters economic expansion is healthy and strong. A centering of equity means that we approach this with this collaborative work with a focus on inclusivity, access to services, and in partnership with culturally specific organizations, CBOs, workforce development partners, educational institutions, private companies, and others. And, I think you'll see, if you look at the top of the slide here, we have a few concepts that we wanted to get up here that I think guide the work. These concepts are collaboration, information sharing, capacity building, and strategic initiatives. These concepts have defined how the county has, in these past 3 years, brought people together to create new opportunities and capacity that form the foundation for business creation and expansion and workforce advancement. There are 2 images on this slide that I've purposely included to illustrate how we work in our program. On the left hand side, that image is of the Washington County Small Business Support Network. We need a different name for this group. It's very long. I apologize. This is a group of business support organizations, nonprofits, that work together. They convene quarterly to workshop challenges and strengthen referrals to serve small businesses, building partnerships across the entire county.
I'd say that name fits.
Yeah, that's right.
Seems to be attracting the right set of folks.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. There are over 40 organizations that participate in this forum. And again, it forms that basis of an equitable ecosystem that supports small businesses countywide. I will also note that this forum continues to expand. We have been including workforce development organizations and others that work to support business expansion and workforce development. We're very excited about this forum. The photo on the right was taken during a recent tour of our friends at Working Theory Farm, a Hillsborough-based nonprofit that focus on providing meaningful job experience for at-risk youth. In the picture, you'll see folks from Adelante Mujeres, the Northwest Native Chamber, Unite Oregon, the Sustainability Office, and others. We brought this team together because all of them, in one way or another, is working on advancing opportunities for wealth creation in the food and agriculture sector. So again, this is another example of how the county is working to bring together different partners to innovate, to create opportunities for more businesses and workforce development. Now let's get into some outcomes. Let's talk about all sorts of the different work that we're doing. And again, there's a lot to cover here, and so I do invite your questions after the presentation. On this slide, I wanted to talk about small business support. We support small business expansion, small businesses in Washington County in a number of different ways. One of them is through supporting the ecosystem like I've been talking about. So I gave the example of the network. We also bring together economic development managers and directors from all of the 12 cities in Washington County to talk about economic development at the city level. We support trade shows and hiring events for small businesses. We, working with other departments, host the West Side Open House, which is an opportunity to think about procurement in the public sector, giving opportunities to small businesses to contract with the county and others in local government. The Access to Capital Forum, I want to just give a quick example here of ways, use this as an example to talk about how we're supporting businesses. So the Access to Capital Forum is an opportunity to bring together a number of CDFIs, lending institutions, and others that have capital products for small businesses in Washington County. We had a panel discussion, and then we talked about what some of the gaps might be. And work together. It was a really interesting conversation to hear all of these bankers and lenders talking about how they have tried different ways of trying to support small businesses and entrepreneurs. And it was a robust conversation. It was also informational for others, other business support organizations. We're going to be following up with that Access to Capital Forum for businesses, having an event for businesses, putting out to businesses in Washington County saying, come learn about different ways that you can get capital to either move your startup forward or expand your business in Washington County. We do all of this work in collaboration with other county departments and offices. This is how we work. We are a team of 4. We like to say that we're small but mighty. And actually, I'm going to pause and turn around, and I think I've got one. Adrian Chalet from our team is here this evening. I think Christian Salgado, who is the broadband coordinator, couldn't be here this evening. And Elisa Brasi, who is our management analyst. So we are 4. And so we work with other departments like OEICE, with sustainability, public health, land use and transportation. We are always talking with them, of course, in this one Washington County approach. Economic development is one of those disciplines that connects to all different things. I appreciated all of the proclamations, the proclamation about bicycle safety, it's about supporting infrastructure and all of those different pieces. At the bottom of this slide, there is a list of some direct impact here from some of our work. So over the past few years, through your board's direction and with ARPA dollars, we have been able to serve hundreds of small businesses in Washington County. They have been able to be supported through one-on-one support, technical services, legal services, classes and workshops, all at this really critical time. This critical time as we went through this global pandemic, which had massive economic impacts, and we've been able to support so many businesses in coming through that economic recovery process to where we are today. Workforce development. We also lead and work with a number of county partners and external organizations on a number of different initiatives around workforce development. On this slide, I just wanted to highlight 2 of the programs that we have been able to advance with your direction and support of ARPA funds. We're very excited about these programs. We are hopeful that they can continue on beyond the ARPA timeline. The program up top, and if you squint, I apologize, Commissioner Fye, I think the photos are a little small here. You are in the top photo, though, there. This is a graduation at the Quick Start program, which is a 10-day training that prepares students at PCC for jobs in the semiconductor industry, so a crucial cornerstone of Washington County and Oregon's economy here. It has been a wildly successful program. It is in partnership with the City of Hillsborough and Intel and Portland Community College. They've had dozens of participants go through this program and have acquired jobs. It has been a majority, the majority of the students that have gone through have been women. There's a lot of BIPOC community members as well. So we're very excited about this program and supporting workforce advancement opportunities and one of our key industries here in Washington County. Westside Works is a program that we initiated with Work Systems, Inc., Portland Community College, and initially the city of Beaverton. We are expanding it beyond Beaverton city boundaries. And this program focuses on workforce development in the childcare space. So students that are at PCC's early learning program can get a 3-month paid internship job experience with a local child care center. They can use that time as part of their practicum and as they get their certifications with the state to be a child care, to work in the child care workforce. And it has happened through, again, through collaboration with all of those different groups. I didn't mention public health, of course, is part of that, and CCR&R, Child Care Resource and Referral, of course, who've been guiding the work going forward. So just 2 examples of workforce development. Strategic initiatives. I said that we do a lot, and so I'm going to keep going with all sorts of things here that we're working on. In 2022, at your board's direction, we started a program called CPACE. CPACE is focused on sustainability in the built environment. We got that up and running. We've had a couple projects that have come our way and then have gone to the wayside. It hasn't been our fault. I think it's been a difficult time in the market cycle for a number of developers. We do have one in hand right now. I'm hoping that we can close that one in the next month or so. So that's very exciting. The Strategic Investment Program, of course, we'll be hearing more about this work later this evening in a different agenda item. Broadband and digital inclusion, we're very excited about this work. Our colleague Christian Salgado has been leading up efforts to bring together partners to focus on not just infrastructure expansion, which is very important, but also digital inclusion services for all community members in Washington County. So looking forward to giving you a more detailed update on that one soon. Work Systems, Inc., we have an ongoing partnership focused on pre-apprenticeships and career pathways in construction, and that's been a very, very popular program. We're very excited about that. On the right are a few initiatives that I wanted to point out. The one on the top, Washington County Means Progress, and the RFA Fellowship. This is a cohort fellowship that focuses on equity and workforce development. We've been very excited to participate in this. It's included some trainings with some other peer groups from cities all across the nation where we're learning about kind of good job frameworks and internship programs and other ways to advance equity and workforce development. The Metro 2040 grant, we're very excited. We won a grant with Metro in partnership with Unite Oregon to support Unite's work in the creation of an equitable development strategy and community engagement along TV Highway. And so that's, of course, in partnership with other county offices, such as housing and land use and transportation, in preparation for more transit and transportation improvements that are slated to come to TV Highway in the next decade. The Supplier Diversity Assessment Project, we won another grant to assess the supply and demand, so to speak, of county contracted services. So thinking about what are the services that the county contracts for and what does the demand look like from small businesses, and in particular small businesses within communities of color and Washington County. So we actually just launched the RFP and hope to be getting a consultant on board to be helping with that very soon. In this last slide, I wanted to highlight our new website. And this is, we're calling it 2.0. The 1.0 was just a hello, we're here kind of thing. And the 2.0 is very exciting because our colleagues led by Adrian and our team worked with a number of different business support organizations and workforce development organizations to understand what kind of resources they have that they would want to highlight on the county's webpage. And so we now have a resource directory for small businesses and for those seeking a job or job training. And so for those that are watching at home or here in the audience, we're promoting this now. We're looking for folks to go here and are hopeful that you'll be able to find the support that you need for your business or to find that meaningful job. So I'm going to close here. And again, I'd be happy to take any questions or comments that your board may have. I hope that you saw in this brief presentation tonight that we're doing all that we can to make sure to ensure your vision that Washington County is one of the best places in Oregon, in the Northwest, to start a job, to start a business, or to find that great job. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chair Harrington.
Well, thank you for the two of you for bringing this to life for us this evening. And I know I appreciate the work that not only you and your team members do, but also with those in the network across the jurisdictions here in Washington County. I'll go first, comment-wise, since I'm at it. Since I ran for this office and started on this board in 2019, I have had a particular interest in our supplier diversity, so diversity through contracting, or equity through procurement is another way to look at it. But I realize that with our older legacy tools, it can be hard to put reports together. So I appreciate all of the efforts that are going to move the ball down the field while we may not necessarily know how we're doing along that journey. I remain hopeful that with a new ERP and new practices, it will be easier for us to do that. So I'm hoping before the end of my second term that we'll have the ERP in place, up and running, and that we'll have a new supplier diversity report as one of the earliest reports that we have. I know I'm asking for a lot, but you know, sometimes you got to shoot for the moon. So we'll see.
I will take that, Chair Harrington, as a comment and question embedded in one. With your board's action on the consent calendar tonight, authorizing the county administrator to enter into the contract for the ERP system, you are exactly putting that process in place. Your board has been briefed prior to this evening on just the significant challenge and time-intensive work that we have to report out on our supplier diversity and contract and just general contracting too.
Yep.
And so I would say we are beyond hopeful as a staff team of improving this process. It will happen with the ERP system, and that is why we are truly taking a One Washington County approach with that process. I know the OICE office has been involved with ERP as well as many others who have an interest in this.
No additional pressure, just interest. You know, inquiring minds want to know. So, other commissioners, questions and comments?
I'd like to make a comment. And first of all, thank you for this. It was a great presentation. But I also want to take just a moment and say thank you to the entire OEICE office, because this quarterly report is the first time I remember having the opportunity to see how OEIC permeates all of the work that we do here at Washington County. And it's not a group in and of itself, it's a group that works certainly in the One Washington County way, but I believe that when we started with the equity resolution, this was one of our goals. And to see it here in this format where we've got a department talking about the connection between them, OEICE, and the outcomes of the economic development work, that's really meaningful to me. And I appreciate the opportunity to look at the work that's being done from that perspective. So thank you.
Well, I'd just like to say congratulations, Matt, because, you know, when we created this position 3 years ago and you stepped into that, there were a lot of unknowns, but there was some expectations. I think you've done a great job of exceeding those expectations. You continue to reach out. I've always thought collaboration with our other ECDAB partners around the county and certainly the region is a very important thing to do. And so you've fulfilled that and continue to enhance that. So thanks for your hard work on that, and thanks for this report.
Thank you.
And I remember, Commissioner Willie, I was afraid we might be overcommitting, yet under-delivering, setting our team up for under-delivering. And you were like, nope, let's lean into this. Let's lean into this. And yep, it's been great. It's a great team. It worked, and I'm really glad you pushed me to lean into it. So thank you.
I'd simply say, Matt, yeah, great job. It's always curious how you quantify and put economics to some philosophies and values, and I think I would congratulate the entire team for doing that. It was very interesting for those of us who tend to look at a lot of numbers and tend to say, well, show me how that benefits everyone in the county and what's the results and what's the potential results. You heard from the chair, she had some particular wishes. My wish is that as you develop more information and you understand more fully how all of these components fit together, that we can see how all boats rise and what the economics of everything that we do is in certain sectors. So nice report. It was good tonight.
Thank you.
So I think that's it for the presentation, but I think I went a little too swiftly through all the different proclamations. So Ms. Angie, could you help me out to see if there were some picture-taking opportunities that I flew us right by?
I think the board was so eager to hear each of those proclamations and also the quarterly equity report that we did fly right by. So we would like to take a pause and invite your board to take a picture to celebrate the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month proclamation. And so if the group would
Please,
like to come
join us
to the dais.
All righty. Don't worry, folks, we're not done yet. We have 3 different action items remaining on this evening's agenda. And let's see. Yes, we have Mr. Greg Munn here. We're looking to adopt a fiscal year 2024 through 2025 capital improvement plan. So take it away, Mr. Munn. This is quite a milestone.
All right. Well, good evening, Chair Harrington, Board of Commissioners. It's great to be here with you tonight. I feel like this is our second anniversary of the CIP, which is twice as much as it was last year, the first time. So I feel like we're starting to get some cadence underneath it. underneath us. So the purpose of tonight's agenda item is to present the 2024-29 Washington County Capital Improvement Plan for your approval. The CIP presented is the product of a collaborative, grassroots, cross-organization effort and marks progress in implementing financial planning best practices at the county. A draft of the 2024-29 CIP was presented to the board at the March 12th work session. The team, I want to highlight some folks here, and I might embarrass a couple of them, but that's okay. That's part of what goes along with it. But the team was led by Mr. Theme Grenz, and Theme is... So Theme was our quarterback, and he really stood in the presence of the absence of a dedicated resource to really run the CIP program. So he's been great, and I always knew if I missed something that Theme would come tapping on my shoulder, and he did great at that. He's been the hub for the project and has kept it rolling the last 2 years. In addition, I'd like to acknowledge the other members of the team. From our Information Technology Services Department, Luke Ross, which I think he is here. There he is. Yep. Theme Grenz, as I mentioned, Kia Sundberg, Yuha Tan, Wayne Flynn, Kevin Babbitt, Designee Olivas Fogarty, and Dan Spraker. From our facilities group, Laurel Brown, who couldn't be here tonight, Missy Hughes, Debbie Valerie, Bassam Khalifi, and Brian Robb. From our land use and transportation team, Stephen Roberts, Cindy Downey, Melissa DeLizer. She's here. I saw her. There she is. I made her raise her hand. Oh, Stephen? Yeah. Oh, okay. He wasn't sitting in his normal seat, so I didn't notice him. Jessica Pels, Russ Noble, and Emma Ross. Special thanks to Emma, who took the information and made it significantly more visually appealing and informative with her graphic designer skills. For some reason, when she presents the numbers, it looks a lot better than us in finance when we present it. And last but not least, from budget, I need to mention Steve Kang, who brought the numbers together from all of the projects to produce the financial forecast section of the CIP. The 2024-29 CIP is the second year of the comprehensive countywide plan. The first CIP was approved by the board last June. The purpose of a CIP, as you know, is to provide a longer-term plan, one that's longer than an annual budget, to fund the county's capital asset maintenance and replacement of new assets. The CIP is one element of the budget redesign work that was developed in the summer of 2022. The importance of and the need for a CIP was highlighted later that summer when major and immediate facility improvements were identified in some of our most critical areas of the county, and as the project to replace our 20-plus-year-old enterprise resource planning system commenced. These two immediate need projects alone are estimated to cost $85 million and were without a funding source at the time. The process to develop a CIP will ensure the county is better positioned in the future to identify, plan for, and fund this work long in advance to ultimately provide consistent and stable services to the community. Additionally, the Government Finance Officers Association, the GFOA, recommends that, quote, local, state, and provincial governments establish a system of assessing their capital assets and then appropriately plan for budget for any capital maintenance and replacement needs, end quote. The 2024 CIP builds on the county's first CIP by continuing to focus on transparency, providing more robust details, including funding sources and cost estimates, all the while wrapped in a visually pleasing presentation with updated branding, charts, and consistent project page design. Future capital improvement plans and the planning process will continue to improve as part of the evolution of the CIP program, including expanded forecast information, standardized terms and definitions, broadened engagement within the county, and operationalization, wow, that was a word, of the CIP development with dedicated staff time and resources. Thank you for the opportunity to share this work with you. It's been a real team effort, and I'll turn it back over.
Before turning it to the board, I would just like to make a comment. I just want to share how thrilled I am this evening to have a few really monumental items on your board's agenda. Mr. Munn had spoke to this. For members of the public, I would draw attention to page 7 of the CIP. On page 7 of the CIP, this really lays out our One Washington County Management Systems and Structure or Work Plan. Your board will be considering your strategic plan update this evening. A capital improvement plan is connected directly to achieving the strategic goals within that update. This, and Greg, thank you for sharing the appreciation across Washington County. We don't have a dedicated FTE to do this work, and so it really has been a team effort, and I just want to highlight appreciation and just the strong skill set we have in our ITS department and project management, and that theme is going to be continuing as the project manager next year. In the future, we would hope that we would have a dedicated FTE for this effort, but until then, I just share gratitude with all the colleagues who have seen this work be so important to the future sustainability of the county. So I'm just, tonight's meeting's great.
Well, I echo that, Ms. Angie, you're not alone, because there are significant foundational building blocks here that we've spent time assembling, exploring, and now we are adopting the plans, memorializing them, so to speak, which is one reason why I'm so excited about this nerdly plan called a capital improvement plan. I mean, how can you get so excited about a plan? Well, when 3 of us started in 2019 on the county commission, this is what we had, a blank sheet of paper. There were lists, and our team has been taking phenomenal care of our buildings, but we had systems that had gotten older, and we just weren't keeping pace with the foundational needs of running a county government, especially on the scale of the population we serve here in Washington County. This is a marvelously straightforward plan. I mean, all you have to do is look at the table of contents, and you can see that we have some of our largest asset pools: facilities, fleet, and parks, information technology, if you hear us refer to this, ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System, and then land use and transportation. And one of the beautiful things about LUT in here as well, as exemplified through just the table of contents, is you can see the different funding sources. So we have not only what are all those projects and programs, but what is the financial plan for achieving the reality that we are hoping to deliver on for the betterment of our community. And our staff has really done a phenomenal job across the different departments to put together this, this tool that is standard in municipal government, and do so in a way that uses the best practices that we know of in government these days. So yes, I am excited, and I'll get to vote on it tonight too. So colleagues, how about you?
I would like to say thank you to everybody, but I also want to I just was taking myself back to that very painful time when we had the realization that we had the HVAC problems, and we had the roof problem. We had all these, and the awareness building that we didn't have a system that could help inform us about the future for our assets. And I remember thinking, what? So it was, and to go from that position to seeing this in action tonight, to seeing the rigor and the discipline that's been set out in this plan it's just amazing to me. And personally, I want to say thank you to everybody that worked on this, because I sleep better at night. You know, the first couple nights after that, I don't think anyone in this room slept very well. So again, my thanks and congratulations.
Yeah, I think I'd like to echo that. I mean, this is an impressive document, and just flipping through it and realizing that this is a 135-page document, and so it's very detailed, got lots of information in it, has the names of the authors, but we know that's not the only people that participated on the front page. It's impressive, and just to me to walk through, as the chair pointed out, the table of contents, and it is so clear. So if there's some specificity that you want, you can go to the table of contents and get it, rather than trying to read through 135 pages. And so I'd say congratulations to you and your team, Greg. It's a great effort, and we certainly, as has been pointed out, we need this. So thank you.
Anybody else? Job well done, Greg.
Thank you.
I would also like to acknowledge that staff across the organization has helped each member of this commission with questions that we raised during the development process of our initial CIP, as well as this much more comprehensive one with these 3 large asset pools. So job well done. And with that, commissioners, I would ask for a motion to adopt this fiscal year 2024 through 29 capital improvement plan.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Onward ho we go with another foundational piece, and that is the strategic plan update for the next 5 years, 2024 through 2028. And with that, we'll be joined by Dani Ledesma, the Assistant County Administrator for strategic plans like this, amongst many other things in her portfolio, as well as Philip Bransford, our Communications Officer here at Washington County, and I hope I got all that right.
Absolutely. Good evening. It is so thrilling to be here with you all tonight. My name's Dani Ledesma, and I'm an Assistant County Administrator. Chair, Commissioners, we'd like to talk through our strategic plan update for your consideration this evening. So today we're going to hopefully take you on a journey where we kind of review not only the document itself, but talk a little bit about the process and some of the history that led us here today. So as we'll start with talking about August, but I'm going to introduce my colleague, the fabulous Philip Bransford, who, Philip the Fabulous, who is going to talk to us about the history. And we're really so fortunate at Washington County because we have so many folks who have institutional memory. When Philip was a toddler, he started working here 20 years ago. And so we thought it fitting that he sort of walk us through this really sort of robust history of strategic planning to kind of set the context for where we are tonight.
Wow. Thank you. Dani Ledesma, Philip Bransford, Communications Officer, he, him pronouns. It's a privilege to actually talk a little bit about this. The story, I think, of the strategic plan in Washington County is really one of board leadership and leaning forward, leaning into what is difficult, not unlike what what your board just adopted with the capital improvement plan. Washington County has been leaning forward throughout its life, really. It was the first county in Oregon. It was the first county to have adopted a home rule charter. It was one of the first, I think, at a county level that went to that council manager form of government in the late 1970s, early 1980s. And out of that comes the first Washington County strategic plan in 1986. And through that process, some fundamental concepts were put in place, such as identifying service delivery roles, principles, the priorities for the organization, really clarifying how the county government relates to other partner organizations, public agencies, nonprofits in serving the same community. And that lean forward carried on into the early 1990s. So after the first adoption in 1986, there were some adjustments made in that early period, and what I would call a pretty heavy lift. I know Commissioner Rogers was part of this Vision West process that took a lot of resource and engaged a great deal of our community to come to that midpoint in the strategic plan's lifetime in the early or the mid-1990s. That was the last moment when a board had officially changed the strategic plan. And as we move forward in time, I came to the organization in the early aughts, as we might say. In about 2005, there was another effort to, this time, distill what was a more lengthy document. It went from 60 pages to 17, but really the same trajectory was continued in that attempt at a revised strategic plan. It had different names to it, but the concepts were still there. And I know I met the chair at one of our community engagement processes during that time when that process was underway for a revised strategic plan. That version wasn't ultimately adopted, but what I can say now in this timeline is that this board is carrying on with the spirit of all of the boards prior to this and leaning forward. I think part of the realization that we've heard from your board as staff is in this post-pandemic moment, there's some fundamental tools, some foundational work that the organization needs to focus on. The heavy lift of the Vision West process back in the 90s is not the moment for right now. The moment now is the strategic plan update that my colleague Danny is going to walk us through a little bit more. And so that pivot has now enabled us to see a horizon down the road 4 years from now, and 2028 is our target year for returning to that more robust approach, that more robust engagement with our community. But what we bring to you today is a document that is just as vibrant, just as relevant, and is, as we've just heard with several parts of this auspicious meeting already, allowing space for the organization to go through that fundamental work right now. So I'll leave it to you.
All right, thank you, Philip. So let's talk about this strategic plan update. So if you'll recall, we laid out a process roadmap to get us from sort of where we are into sort of starting to document sort of like our current state leading into the future. So we endeavored to, through a series of roundtable sessions, to sort of answer three questions: the sort of why, continuing to ground and align towards one Washington County; the how, being able to articulate the approach and to be able to achieve the mission of Design the Future; and the what, sort of what are the goals for each of the elements of county government, and how can we articulate those in a clear way. So we have now a strategic update that has elements that are similar to strategic plans of the past, but with some very key updates that align towards the work of now and into the future. So in total, there are 8 strategic elements. This slide reminds us of sort of when we went into some deep discussions and we developed that cadence of sort of discussion, process, review, update. But I also want to make sure that we don't forget the looking forward, sort of how can this document continue to be utilized as a foundational document that sets the course for those other foundational systems that we continue to build, and then also the appendices that contain some very key contextual items that Philip will talk about. So really quickly, our introduction, really it intended to sort of describe the intent of the document. In past strategic plans, they tended to sort of talk about the history, and we moved that into the appendices with that timeline where Philip talked about, you know, his teen years and his adolescence, moving into adulthood, and sort of growing up at the county. Sorry. Here you go, Tanya. She talks about my review. All right,
Strength, comedian, delivers with a smile and a laugh.
Oh, no, now I'm getting red. Okay, so I'm going to bring us back to our strategic plan, which is very serious. So the next element is that I'd like to talk to you about is the vision and the mission. So when we talk about that vision, we are sort of really grounding in that ethos of one Washington County, and so the vision was updated to include that description, as well as the mission that gives more texture and layers to what is Design the Future. What does that modernization look like in terms of what we're trying to achieve? The next section is our guiding principles. These guiding principles, as you know, really provide that grounding in the values that drive the work of Washington County, that catalyze change and improvement, making sure that, you know, we continue to be mission-driven, that we think about our role and think about how we can be accountable and good stewards, that we operate with integrity and trust, that we continue to think about how equity and inclusion can permeate throughout the county, that we continue to recognize the importance of our employees and how valued our employees are, and that spirit of collaboration where you heard, where it's not just one department or one leader, but multiple people making this county work. And so those values really drive that. However, we can always put a little bit more detail to those values, and so we have the 4 fundamentals that describe our approach and sort of like how are we going to achieve the mission. These 4 fundamentals really were one of the places where your leadership sort of came through, and, you know, while you continue the tradition of being forward-looking, as Philip reminded us, but also really stamped and marked your sort of distinction as sort of thinking about how these 4 fundamentals can sort of meet the challenge of today. So the first fundamental is talking about that sort of one Washington County mindset, that sort of operating with a collective mindset, recognizing our mutual interconnectedness and how important that is. Fundamental 2 is building on that sort of idea of being human-centered, thinking about how we build the capacity of people, how we recognize how important culture plays a role in the work that we do in creating a positive culture, a workplace where where Washington County is a destination. It's where you want to be. And then in Fundamental 3, we continue to talk about Washington County and our dynamic roles, where we endeavor to be a partner that, you know, operates with our values, but also recognizing that sometimes partnership can take many different forms, and wanting to make sure that that dynamism continues to be carried through. And then Fundamental 4 is where, you know, sort of our mettle is tested, where we continue to need to prioritize critical needs, recognizing the unique role of the county, and how we continue to go about that, knowing that we are, you know, recognizing that we do see continuing increased community need, and sort of how do we position ourselves. So that's our how. Let's talk about the what. So in a really robust process of collaboration, each of the departments and offices collaborated to develop organizational goals and department goals. And so I think one of the things that's important to note in the document itself is that with the expectation that although the document is sort of inward facing and inward looking, it was very important that it be outwardly understandable, that we operate with transparency. And so a lot of the description of the goals themselves, as the language in the goals themselves, really gets at making sure that everyone who reads this is aware of the unique role that the county plays, that the goal is very clear, and that expectation is very transparent. But then also there was an opportunity to provide more information to the general public. And so you added the department description. So, while some folks may not have, at the tip of their tongue exactly what land use and transportation does, the idea is that the description provides some context so that the goal carries meaning, and that we were really explicit in that language. I do want to remind folks about the robust process that occurred with our county leadership team and this body here. This was a great opportunity for our county leadership team to provide and to advise you in terms of the sort of status and the current state of departments, and for you as our elected leaders to provide that refinement, that editing, and that sort of oversight of these goals, and to ensure that they continue to sort of align towards the path that we're striving towards over the next 5 years. These goals are organized in 5 primary areas of government, and so we attempted to kind of group our 22 different departments and offices in each of these 5 areas. Of note, one thing that I want to make sure that folks are reminded of is that in addition to our county appointed leaders, we also have the participation of 3 elected leaders. So we have our super collaborative and awesome Sheriff Caprice Massey. We have our really dedicated district attorney, and then we also have a little bit our Justice Court, which is just a little bit unique. They're from the 3rd branch of government, the judicial branch, and it's a state court that is administered by the county. So it is one of those. This is a plan that has the both unique and sort of regular departments, as well as can sort of has the capacity to take on complexity and nuance. I'm going to turn it over to Philip, who's going to talk a little bit more about our appendix and that context, as well as our formatting and the engagement.
Yes,
of
so
the plan.
we heard this board in terms of the format, in terms of the additional supporting documentation that this document we're proposing to you now contains, and yet it still remains, I think, a pretty accessible guiding document. We've have in the appendices the history, the timeline we just talked about, a management system diagram that Danny's going to mention in a little bit. We developed that information graphical appearance of our various services. As Danny just mentioned, it's a diverse array of service delivery that you are helping us to lead. And the county state shared services diagram that we thank Association of Oregon Counties for. The glossary has also been added. We heard you from that last iteration of your guidance, and that has been reduced to the terms that are referred to in the actual document. So those are additions and updates. The look and feel of the document, I think, has gained some praise. Danny's been involved in more of that interface with the community or with our stakeholder groups than I have. But I'm pleased to hear that, and I'm thankful to our graphic designer, Sherry Drills, who has assembled the document, and all the different departments that have added photographs over the years that we've borrowed from. The link under there will be updated soon. We're going to, if your board just so acts, take the word draft off the document. We'll remove the highlighting that shows the newer provisions, and we will repopulate our webpage with the final document. I'm going to talk just a little bit about our engagement process. It was important, and your board directed us in particular to key stakeholder groups that are listed on this chart you've seen before along the top. Over this 4-month period that goes down the left side there, I know our county administrator, Tanya Angie, Danny Ledesma, were keen at bringing the iterative pace of almost co-creation. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but as a layperson, I'm going to use that term. It seemed from the sideline to be something that was being constructed in collaboration with our Advisory Council on Racial Equity, with the Committee on Community Involvement, our public in general, whom we offered over a month to engage in an online survey. I have to thank Anna Menon and Eva Haas for helping with that, and our staff. And then there is also touch points made with our city and district managers. I know Tanya's kept that, her colleagues updated throughout the process. I know the chair has kept the mayors up to date through the chair mayors convening. Our own departments and offices, but particularly added to the document in terms of the goals and the areas that Tanya mentioned, but also engagement that they did with their own employees. And then in this very room, we engaged anyone that would come in our all-staff meeting where we highlighted, among other things, the strategic plan update. All of this conducted in about 4 months' time. The public was also kept up to date with this page on our site where we included the latest news items, the timeline, frequently asked questions that were coming up as we were moving through the engagement process, and every one of your roundtables, the audio from those sessions was available through this webpage as well.
All right, well, so we have a pretty stellar document. We've laid out our mission, our values, our guiding principles, how we intend to approach the work, our goals, and we've talked to lots of folks about that. I think one of the challenges of any good plan, and I took your challenge about the nerdy CIP plan, and I'd like to humbly submit the strategic plan update, and sort of, how do we, as we look forward, how do we ensure that this doesn't just become another sort of plan on the shelf, right? That that our aspirations, continue on in a living way, in a meaningful way, and how do we make sure that this document really lives up to that standard of providing that foundation, that leadership, that direction, that sort of beacon as the work moves forward. And so in our next step section, we attempt to talk through what that would look like. And you've seen this slide. I think it's it's a lot of folks' favorite slide. Tanya and I can arm wrestle later about it's the favorite of, but I think, and Greg's in there too, and lots of us. But I think this really attempts to talk about sort of how the strategic plan update really provides that sort of strong foundation. The goals contained within, the approach contained within, really can help to make meaningful sort of progress in these foundational systems so that we can better serve our community. So over the next 4 years, we really endeavor to continue to produce those capital improvement plans, to dig deeper on our service level assessment, to think about ways to continue to engage employees, to continue to improve on our budget processes and the financial planning of the county, and really think about how do we operationalize these goals at each of the departments so that we are engaging in, I think you heard at the leadership communication earlier today, where Tanya talked about that process where our county leaders are engaging in a plan to update a work plan, to take these goals and to really sort of think about what are ways that we can articulate the work that will reinforce these goals, how can we measure that work, and then report that out transparently so that our community, so that you can see progress against that. So, and all the while trying to create a culture of learning, of continuous improvement, of thinking about how we can take those lessons learned from progress or where we haven't made as much progress as we'd like to, and build those skills and muscles to be able to continue to improve and serve our community. So that we hope that in 5 years we can start the process again and really sort of think about be in a different position so that we can engage even more fully than what we have today, where we are today, and really sort of work on that sort of like big vision and work plan. And so this really sets a foundation for us to do that. And so the plan is very exciting, and the update is very exciting. And I think that spirit of collaboration and building on those systems, which, you know, some people say nerdy, some people say, you know, really exciting. And I think that that's been one of the really sort of almost tangible things that you can hear when you talk to leaders and staff throughout the county, is sort of like wanting to continue to see this progress and this willingness to really make sure that the alignment is there and the collaboration is there. So, as Philip mentioned, the plan that you have before you has some highlights where the last bit of edits and feedback have, and so I think the question before the board today is whether, if there's any questions for us, and to consider adoption of the strategic plan update.
Well, board, I think this is our crescendo moment. Do you have any questions or comments or ready for action?
A couple of comments. Thank you. Yeah, you did good work. I appreciate what the staff is doing, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say the people in the 80s and the 90s who were here at the county were great staff as well. They mined a lot of diamonds, and what's happening with this board in this time period with all of you is you're polishing those and putting a new perspective in terms of what today's, I guess, thoughts are. So I don't belittle that at all, but I find myself very privileged to have been here at the beginning, and before I leave here at the end of December, to see that a lot of the thoughts, though many more still need to be refined, many of the thoughts are still present today that we saw 40 years ago. So thank you for your work in advancing as all your predecessors did, and your successors will do the same. So thanks.
Well, Danny, I just remember the first time I met you, and it was at one of these planning meetings for the strategic plan, and you kind of just walked in like you'd been there the entire time, and you had an enthusiasm and a passion for this, and as you probably could tell, this is not one of my favorite things to do, and so wordsmithing and all of that we did, we went through that, but you made it very enjoyable, and certainly as I look at the product here, I mean, we're checking a couple of big boxes tonight. You can tell that, and I'm going to flip through to the part that I particularly, that you emphasized. It is when we start talking about the fundamentals of what it is that we're doing, and then what the goal is, the departmental office and description, the goals and those kinds of things. You really put a lot of life into that for me. So thank you for your work. This was intentional, I know it was, and we've been working on this a while, but thank you for you and the team and everybody that really embraced this and made it real. So thank you.
Job well done. I think I'm a woman of few words tonight, but I will also give a shout out to Rachel, who isn't here. You carry that torch very well to the both of you, so job well done. Woohoo!
And with that, I would ask the board for a motion to adopt the strategic plan update.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Yay us.
Good job.
Yes. Strategic Plan Update 2024 through 2028 is official. And now we're going to move to our next item, which is all about updating the policy for strategic investment program proposals that may come in through private companies.
He's going to break out in song in a minute, Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Take it away, Matt Craigie, our Economic Development Manager.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. Good evening again. Commissioners, I was just looking at the agenda, and I hope that I know that there's no confusion at the board level, but for any public that is listening, there is a CIP and an SIP this evening. There's a capital improvement plan, and this is not that. This is the strategic investment program, a different thing entirely. So I'm just going to run through a few slides here to talk about the update to the county's SIP policy. We've been working with your board for a number of months now to update the 2006 era county policy, which guides county's negotiations with private companies around this very important economic incentive tool. So this evening, I'll just go through a few slides here to talk about the SIP. We are hopeful that we will see a few companies come our way here in the next coming years. The SIP is an economic incentive tool focused on traded sector companies, advanced manufacturing companies that are going to invest millions, actually billions with a B, potentially in our region. And the county plays a very important role in negotiating this economic incentive with those companies. So in preparation for those discussions, again, we've been working with your board to update this policy. Here's a timeline of our conversations, and maybe another apology here. I think this packet agenda, the packet that we put together is massive. When I looked at it, I think it was 383 pages. But we wanted to make sure that we had all of the documents, the memos and the presentations and other appendices that have accompanied these very important conversations with your board over the past few months. So here is a timeline that shows some of these conversations, all of these conversations that we've had with your board since July of 2023. Just a brief recap, bringing to where we are today. We had a conversation with your board in July of 2023 where we went over a SIP 101. And in September, we brought some initial proposed language changes to the policy. And we had another discussion with your board just last month in March. So here we are today, the question to your board being, do you want to adopt the updated policy? Just real briefly for those in the audience, and there are lots of details here, but I will do my best to do a high-level summary of how the SIP tool works. The SIP tool, the Strategic Investment Program tool, is a tax abatement incentive. And so there is a minimum investment amount. A company would come our way and say, we want to invest at least $150 million in Washington County. The abatement period is for 15 years. One thing that folks should know about the SIP tool, and something that I like everyone in Washington County to know, is that these are some of our largest taxpayers, and they do continue to pay tax even when they utilize the tool. So there is a minimum taxable amount in urban areas that is $100 million. So there is this persistent myth that, well, they don't pay taxes. That's not true. They're some of our largest taxpayers and contributors to the tax base here in Washington County. In addition to that baseline tax, there is a community service fee, which is a non-negotiable fee that the company pays. It is 25% of the abated tax amount with an annual maximum of $3 million. There are some changes recently due to Oregon legislative, or the Oregon legislature made a few changes around the minimums. And so you'll recall before 2023, the minimum amount was $2.5 million for the community service fee. It is now maximum. It is now the maximum annual amount of the community service fee is $3 million, and that is adjusted with CPI, so adjusted for inflation. Again, the SIP is a targeted investment tool. It is not for every company that is looking to invest in Washington County. It is for select companies that are traded sector companies, typically advanced manufacturing companies that are making massive investments. On this slide here, you can see a number of data that demonstrate the quantitative benefits to Washington County, which include property taxes, special fees, which includes that community service fee, and also other negotiated fees that can be negotiated as part of the deal. State income tax, of course, from the income of all of the employees, and jobs. This is, the SIP is also about creating jobs. This is limited data here that I have in this slide. The numbers are larger if we were to roll them up to here to 2024. But you can see the massive economic benefits and impacts that have resulted from past SIPs in Washington County. This slide reiterates the importance of the SIP tool and some of the results of an SIP tool. The SIP tool is important for regional competitiveness. So as companies are looking to invest in locations globally, it adds to the mix of benefits that they would see for investing in Oregon and specifically in Washington County. SIPs typically create jobs that are high-wage jobs. I think I actually have the statistic here somewhere in my notes. I think it is that the average job from an SIP receiving company is 53% higher than the average. Let me make sure I'm getting this correct. I don't want to throw out the wrong data point here. Okay, SIP jobs in Washington County are 53% higher than SIPs in other parts of the state. So these are high wage jobs. And also the SIP companies also help with economic mobility. So helping folks achieve and acquire better jobs that help them move up the career ladder and get higher pay. I think in my earlier presentation, we talked about the Quick Start program where folks shifting careers can get into the semiconductor space. So Washington County's SIP policy, is from 2006. There are 4 primary sections to the policy. There's the program overview, the program objectives, evaluation guidelines, and the review process. The changes that we are proposing are in 2 sections. They are in the program overview and the program objectives. Guided by your board's direction, staff have made several changes to the county's SIP policy. Within the overview section, the changes are limited to updated language to reflect new project and exemption thresholds. The proposed changes to the program objective sections also clarify and seek to align objectives with board feedback and a one Washington County approach. And I have this slide that maybe I'll do a third apology here. Gosh, it is very hard to read. I do realize that, but I wanted to make sure that we had a slide up here that demonstrates all of the proposed changes to the program objectives. And so this is where the most substantive changes are proposed. These are, again, changes to reflect and modernize language and to reflect board feedback and a one Washington County approach. So those changes are in the highlight there. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Chair Harrington.
Well, thank you, Mr. Craigie. And this brings us to adopting our third fundamental building block for the evening, this being a significant economic development tool, modernizing it. So, commissioners, do you have any additional questions or comments? And I do want to note that there is a one-pager, 2-sided item in the packet. But before we open it up for public comment, which is something we wanted to do to make sure that community members had the opportunity before we adopt this to hear from them.
No, Matt, good job on this. It was certainly time for a little refresh on this, specifically, as you pointed out, the program objectives. I thought those were all good. And so this is a great, this is a great program. I've been around for a long time with these things. Was engaged in the $100 billion SIP that we had in 2015. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this program. So thanks very much for your work on this.
Well, without further ado, why don't we open up the public comment period? It's not quite as formal as a public hearing, but just to make it clear, I'm going to open a public comment period. Clerk Moss.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in the room. Would anyone that came into the auditorium wish to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes on this SIP presentation? As you've heard from county staff, just give you a moment to raise hand, get my attention. Not seeing any in the room. Would any member online via Zoom wish to provide public comment on this item? As you've heard from staff, give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you for helping us with that, Clerk Moss. And with that, I'll close this public comment period. And so now we have before us a updated policy proposal for us to move forward with, such that if there are new companies or new investment to be made in Washington County, if we adopt this tonight, such opportunities, proposals could be worked on between our county staff and said companies before bringing them to the board in future public meetings. So, commissioners, any comments or questions or motions?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to adopt the new set of strategic investment program policies. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Thank you very much for all the work that's gone into this. All righty, that takes us next to our second our second public comment period for this evening. This is an opportunity for members of our community to come and speak to us for up to 5 minutes an individual. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
Yes, we do, Madam Chair. We have Jesse Isig. Jesse, please come forward. Or Jared, my apologies.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Harrington, commissioners, and citizens of Washington County.
Great. While he's circulating that, if you wouldn't mind taking a seat, and we'll get it, and then we'll start the clock for you.
Good afternoon, commissioners and citizens of Washington County. As you may have seen, last night was the full moon of spring, of the first month of spring, which is the 15th day of Nisan, the month of Aviv. This is a Near Eastern Heritage Month, and in fact, an Asian Heritage Month generally. And we recognize it as the chief month of the year in the Hebrew calendar. It's mentioned in Exodus 12. It was also the chief month of the year in the Babylonian calendar, and in many Indian calendars where it is called Vaisakha. The moon of Nisan endures between the 9th of April to the 8th of May in this year of 2024, and will reoccur next year on the 30th of March to the 25th of April, the 28th of, I'm not sure, sometime in late April 2025, according to the Metonic cycle. This year's later occurrence is due to a 13th intercalary month that was added prior to make the previous a leap year. This is a postponement called Nasi in the Quran in reference to the pre-Islamic Arab calendar. So this is an Arab Heritage Month as well. It's called that after the Jewish exilarch, or the Nasi, who would announce the upcoming year's holiday cycle. Now, Nisan is a Babylonian Chaldean word borrowed into Hebrew and into other Near Eastern languages. It's the name of the month of Aviv. Aviv is the spring season, the time of the barley ripening and that's an Egyptian word also borrowed into Hebrew and other Near Eastern languages. The full moon of this month is a ecumenical lunar spring break. It's of universal significance. It's also of particular significance to the Jewish people as it's Passover night and beginning the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Therefore, I call on county libraries to feature book displays on the topic of the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and the memorial of the Exodus of Egypt, from Egypt. This is of secular and universal significance as humanity's first monotheistic religious faith and its first anti-imperial liberation saga, which is exemplary and instructive for us all. Even if you hold it to be a mere legend, it is probably the most important and enduring legend in all human history and deserves critical analysis. I've given you an example of the Hebrew Chaldean calendar. This is Nisan, the first month. Next month is Iyar. Last year had 373 days, I think. This coming year will have 354 days in the lunisolar calendar. Now, this is an equity issue also, and I want your diversity, equity, inclusion staff to read my letter very carefully and analyze it and do the research and confirm what I've written or else refute it if you can, and advise the board on what to proclaim next year. The Roman Gregorian calendar, which was borrowed from ancient Egypt by Julius Caesar, has been imposed on Asia and indigenous America through a legacy of imperialism and colonization. It was imposed on the Near East through a decision in the 313 Synod of Arles of the Common Era, 313 of the Common Era, to excommunicate the Quartodeciman Asian Christians, such as Polycarp and Polycrates of Ephesus, who, following John the Revelator, kept the Quartodeciman along with all the other Jewish communities in the Near East. And the Quartodeciman Christians would observe the Feast of Matzah, the unleavened bread, and would break the Lenten fast before Easter. Anyway, this excommunication was confirmed by the 323 CE Council of Nicaea, and a legacy of Jew hatred in Western Christianity has also affected heretical Christians as well. In fact, anti-Judaism is the ammunition, but the primary target is other Christians or other heretics. And so this, religious minorities in Europe and the Near East should be recognized, and that's why I would like you to recognize this month of Nisan as a Universal Heritage Month next year. The anti-Judaism and anti-Zionism of the Imperial Church misappropriated Jewish texts, promises, and prophecies in order to abrogate the covenant and the law and flatter itself as the spiritual Israel. Senora Monica, the mother of Augustine, made the Christian quarter, or the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, as the, quote, New Jerusalem, and it became dogma and command to, this supersessionism and replacement theology, which is unbiblical. It's not actually found in the New Testament, but it nevertheless became Christian dogma. Jews were and still are expected to convert, assimilate, and eat the Easter ham. The alternatives offered are that they serve as, quote, a witness people to the wrath and severity of God upon unbelievers by remaining miserable and powerless, both in Palestine and throughout the whole Christian world, or else disappear from the stage of history. This is almost 2,000 years of European history that I'm talking about.
Thank you, sir. I'll need to ask you to wrap up.
Anyway, Nisan is also known as Vaisakha in India. It's the first month of the Vikram Samvat calendar. If you want to know more about the history of anti-Judaism as a constitutive idea and explanatory force in Christianity, Islam, and Enlightenment thinking, see the book by David Nierenberg, Anti-Judaism, the Western Tradition. And join me in proclaiming Nisan as a Asian Heritage Month and recognizing the Feast of Unleavened Bread with the Jewish people as a universal ecumenical liberation story. Thank you.
Thank you for taking your time to address us this evening and to bring your materials. They will be entered into our official public record. Thank you.
Would any other members in our auditorium wish to provide public comment for up to 5 minutes on any county-related topic? Just please raise your hand or come forward. Not seeing any in the room. Would any member online via Zoom wish to provide public comment for up to 5 minutes? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any additional hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And with that, I'll move to board announcements. As is customary, I will announce our upcoming meetings. Next Monday evening, April 29th, starting at 6 p.m., we will have our initial budget committee meeting for our budget season for the next fiscal year. On Tuesday, May 7th, May already, wow, work session will start at 9 a.m. We'll pause that, then hold the Housing Authority Board of Directors meeting starting at 10, and then immediately following that, probably around 10:40 a.m. by our estimates, we'll convene as the board meeting and then reconvene work session probably around 1 p.m. On Thursday, we'll have the Clean Water Services Board of Directors and the full budget committee meeting for the Clean Water Services, starting at 9 a.m. Right here, I think, in the PSB. But check the county calendar, please. On Tuesday, May 14th, it's work session day starting at 9 a.m. And then we have 3 back-to-back days of budget committee meetings, different budget committee meetings on different days. Wednesday, May 15th, and this is when we're going to be getting budget presentations by the various departments. So please take a look at the agendas for Wednesday, May 15th, Thursday, May 16th, and Friday, May 17th. All of those meetings start at 9 a.m. Then on Tuesday, May 21st, we'll have our board work session starting at 9 a.m. We'll pause that, then board meeting at 10 a.m., and then reconvene back in work session. So those are the board announcements that I have for this evening. Do any other commissioners have any announcements for tonight? Nope. Seeing none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you, folks. Good evening.